Before we begin, let's sit together for a moment. There's something tender about the quiet that comes with age. A different kind of silence, not empty, but full of reflection, not lonely, but longing. If you felt that kind of quiet lately, this space is for you. Welcome to Daily Elder Advice, a channel born not from trends or noise, but from the quiet truths of growing older. Here, we don't chase youth, we honor age. We sit with stories that time has shaped. We speak of grief without shame, of change without fear, of strength that isn't loud but lasting. This is a space for anyone who has ever wondered, am I the only one feeling like this now? What comes next after the roles I once lived for are gone? How do I care for my body, my mind, and my spirit when they don't feel quite like they used to? Whether you're navigating retirement, living alone for the first time in decades, adjusting to a body that moves more slowly, or searching for meaning after loss, you're not alone. Not here. Every day on this channel, we share reflections on the challenges and quiet wisdom of aging through heartfelt stories, practical advice on health and wellness, and gentle conversations about how to stay rooted when life feels uncertain. And today, I want to walk with you through something deeply personal and universally human. Where do we turn for support when we can no longer lean fully on our family? Not because they don't care, but because life, as it often does, has pulled them in 100 different directions. In this video, I'll share with you the 6 essential pillars of strength that every older adult deserves to build, pillars that go beyond blood ties and reach into something stronger: self-trust, purpose, and peaceful independence. So take a deep breath, maybe pour yourself a cup of tea, and let's begin gently, together. Chapter 1. Financial stability, the silent architecture of freedom. Love may fill your heart, but only stability fills your pantry. And when the world grows quiet, it's not who loves you most that sustains you, it's what you built to stand alone. There is a kind of support so quiet, so overlooked, that we don't even call it by name until it's gone. We think of support as people, arms that hold us, voices that reassure us, hands that lift us. But what happens when those arms are busy? Those voices are distant, and those hands are tied with their own burdens? After 60, the world becomes more tender, and at the same time, more fragile. The bills do not grow smaller, the medicine does not become cheaper, and the sense of security we once found in the idea of family can begin to feel uncertain. We don't want to talk about money. It feels crude, almost shameful, but we must, because financial stability after 60 is not about luxury. It is about survival with dignity. It is not about buying things. It is about not having to beg for them. And when you truly understand that, you begin to see money not as currency, but as protection, quiet, reliable, unemotional protection. Richard's story, the debt of assumption. Richard was never rich, but he was generous. A former postal worker, he raised 3 children on honest labor and unwavering love. He paid for braces, birthday parties, second-hand cars, and the little emergencies that always seemed to arrive between paychecks. He co-signed a loan when his son's small business struggled. He dipped into his savings more than once to help his daughter move cities for a better job. They'll help me if I ever need it, he told himself. I've always been there for them. He meant it, and he believed it. At 72, an unexpected illness drained what was left of his modest savings. He made the call to his eldest son, voice steady, but heart trembling. I just need a little help to get through the next few months. I hate asking. His son paused. There was love in the silence, but also helplessness. Dad, I want to, but we're behind on our mortgage. The twins' school fees just went up. I don't know what to do. Richard didn't get angry. He didn't blame them. He just sat down at his kitchen table and stared at the half-written check in his hand. For the first time, he realized that he hadn't prepared for old age. He had trusted it to others. It wasn't betrayal, it was reality, and that reality hurt. Why financial security is the first and most silent pillar of aging well. Money may not buy happiness, but it buys choice. It allows you to say yes to proper healthcare, home safety, and warm food without needing anyone's permission. Financial independence frees your family from guilt and frees you from the quiet erosion of dignity that comes with dependency. It's not about being wealthy. It's about being prepared. And preparation is not a one-time act. It is a habit, a mindset, a quiet commitment to your future self. Takeaway reflection. The price of peace is preparedness. Financial stability is not about chasing more. It's about securing enough. Enough to sleep at night without fear. Enough to walk into a pharmacy and know you can afford what your body needs. Enough to pay your bills without a knot forming in your stomach. It's not about pride, it's about peace. We are taught to give everything to our children, and we do, with love, but no one teaches us how to care for ourselves after we've given so much away. Your children may love you more than words can express, but love is not liquidity. And when their lives become complex, as all lives do, they may not have what you need, not because they don't want to help, but because they simply can't. When you have built your own financial safety net, you are not closing the door on your family. You are giving them the gift of loving you freely. Not out of obligation, you are saying, you don't need to rescue me. Just love me. That kind of freedom, quiet, steady, dignified, is what allows you to walk into your later years not as a burden, but as a person who still stands on their own feet. It is not about money. It is about respecting your future self enough to prepare for the storms before they arrive. Because in the end, true security is not found in the people who might catch you. It's found in the ground you've laid beneath yourself. Strong, quiet, unshakable. Chapter 2. Your body, the home you'll never move out of. We speak often of houses, of shelter, of where we will live in our later years. But we forget the most permanent address we'll ever have, our own body. When you were young, your body obeyed you. You ran without warming up. You slept on sofas and woke refreshed. You lifted grocery bags, children, even furniture, without a second thought. But somewhere between the 50th and 60th candle on your birthday cake, something shifted. You bent down and stayed down a little longer. You reached for something on a high shelf and paused halfway. A staircase became something to consider. Aging is not betrayal, it is biology. But the tragedy lies not in aging itself. The tragedy is in abandoning the body before it's truly gone. We wait, we postpone, we say, next month, I'll exercise again. But by then, a step that was once easy has become a fall. A pain that was once dull has become permanent. And freedom, sweet, quiet, unnoticed freedom, has slipped out the door. Because the truth is this: when your body fails, everything else becomes smaller. The places you can go, the choices you can make, even the parts of yourself you recognize in the mirror. Carl's story, a body once taken for granted. Carl used to be what his wife called quietly strong. Not muscular, not flashy, but dependable. He carried her bags, shoveled snow without complaint, fixed anything broken around the house. Even in his 60s, he still walked 3 miles every Saturday morning to pick up donuts for the grandkids. But then retirement came, and with it, stillness. Not rest, not peace, just stillness. He didn't stop walking all at once. He just started driving more, sleeping in later, sitting longer. One winter, a flu knocked him down, and somehow, he never fully stood up again. By 68, the walks stopped. By 69, the stairs became an enemy. At 70, he needed help getting out of the tub. The day he had to ask his daughter to help him stand up from a toilet in a public restroom. Something inside him shattered. That night, in the quiet of his room, Carl whispered to himself, "I didn't lose my strength. I gave it away, one lazy excuse at a time." But here's what makes Carl's story worth telling. He didn't surrender. He began with 5 minutes of stretching, then short walks in the backyard. He swapped soda for water, chips for almonds, complaints for action. A year later, he didn't just walk again, he danced at his granddaughter's wedding. Gentle medical truths we must not ignore. Muscle mass declines 3 to 8% per decade after 30, accelerating after 60, unless you work to reclaim it. Your legs are your freedom. The number one predictor of future nursing home admission is lower body weakness. Mobility equals autonomy. Every step you take today saves you from someone else having to lift you tomorrow. Takeaway reflection: the garden that needs you. The body is not your enemy, it is your oldest companion. It has carried you through childhood's falls, youth's recklessness, adulthood's burdens, and all the invisible wear and tear of time. It bore the weight of your choices in silence, adapting, adjusting, waiting for you to notice. And now, as the years deepen and the pace of life softens, your body is not asking for perfection, it is asking for partnership. It is saying, "Care for me, as I have cared for you." To tend to your body is not to chase youth or vanity, it is to tend to your own freedom, your own dignity, your own sense of self-worth. Every stretch you make, every nutritious choice you take, every walk in the morning light, it is not about fitness. It is about honoring the life you still want to live. Because a body that moves is a spirit that doesn't give up. A strong leg means a longer life. A flexible spine means fewer falls, more independence, and above all, a body cared for is a message to the soul. You are still worth the effort. You do not need to look like your younger self. You only need to trust that your current self is still worthy of health, energy, and motion. Because in the quiet hours of the morning, when no one else is watching, and you rise from your chair without struggle, climb a stair without fear, or simply stretch your arms toward the sky, those are the moments when you'll know you made the right choice. You stayed loyal to the home you'll never move out of, your body. And in return, it stayed loyal to you. Chapter 3. Friendship. The family you choose when blood is busy. Some people are born into your life. Others walk in unexpectedly and stay, not because they have to, but because they want to. There is a quiet season in aging when you begin to realize that love, though abundant, does not always mean presence. Your children love you, but their schedules are heavy. Your siblings care, but their lives are far away. You are not forgotten, just postponed. It begins subtly. The phone rings less. The house is filled with more silence than footsteps. Holidays become shorter, visits more rushed, and one day, you look out the window and realize that while your family is still in your heart, they are no longer consistently in your days. This realization is not bitter, it is awakening. Because in this season of life, we must learn the difference between those who are connected by obligation and those who are connected by intention. Family, for all its beauty, can sometimes be busy, but friendship, genuine, chosen, reciprocal friendship, is the oxygen of the soul. After 60, it's not just a joy, it's a necessity. Margaret's story, a garden of her own making. Margaret had always been the matriarch. Her home was the heart of every family gathering. Sunday dinners, Christmas feasts, spontaneous Tuesday lunches, she was the organizer, the cook, the listener. But after her husband passed away, and her sons moved to different states, her dining table became more symbolic than functional. Dust collected where laughter once sat. At first, she waited, she set the table anyway. She baked too much food and froze the leftovers. She told herself, they'll come next week, but next week turned into next month. Calls came, yes, but they were brief. Visits were often rescheduled, and slowly, a loneliness crept into her home, not loud, but relentless. Margaret didn't feel abandoned, just paused, as if her relevance had become optional. One Thursday afternoon, after eating lunch alone again, Margaret looked at the empty chair across from her and asked herself, what if I stopped waiting? That night, she took out a piece of paper and wrote down 3 names, neighbors she'd waved to, a friend she hadn't called in years, a woman from church she once admired but never approached. The next day, she called them, nervously, awkwardly, honestly. She invited them for tea. One showed up, then another. The third invited her to a book club. Soon, her Fridays were full, then her Wednesdays, then her calendar. Margaret didn't replace her family. She simply stopped depending on them to be her only source of connection. She built a new circle, not of blood, but of belonging. Her smile returned, her dining table, once again, filled with stories, crumbs, and the music of conversation. I didn't stop being a mother or a grandmother, she said. I just remembered I'm also a woman, with friends of my own. The emotional and physical power of friendship after 60. Seniors with rich social lives experience significantly lower rates of depression, cognitive decline, and heart disease. A 10-year Harvard study found that meaningful friendships are a stronger predictor of longevity than cholesterol levels or BMI. Social activity stimulates brain function, reduces inflammation, and even lowers blood pressure. Friendship is not a luxury. It is health, it is safety, it is resilience. Take away reflection. The table you set for yourself. There is something deeply sacred about the friends we choose after 60. They do not come out of convenience, or proximity, or childhood obligation. They come because of recognition, because something in their presence feels like a mirror to your worth. In a world that often forgets the value of older souls, A friend is someone who reminds you that your story is still interesting. Your voice still needed, your presence still comforting. Friendship at this stage of life is not loud. It does not demand, it simply arrives, sometimes quietly, in the form of a shared bench at a park, or a passing hello that turns into tea. And when nurtured, it grows, not just in numbers, but in depth. These are the people who will notice when you miss a class, who will bring you soup not because you asked, but because they sensed it. They will not replace your children. They will not fill the silence of a lost spouse. But they will remind you that connection is not bound by title, it is bound by effort. And when you stop waiting to be remembered, and instead begin to reach outward, you will find that the world still wants you. That joy still answers when called. That loneliness, though stubborn, is not invincible. So set your table again, not in expectation, but in invitation. Pick up the phone, join the group, say yes to the casual coffee. Because in the end, it is not who shares your name that sustains you. It is who shows up when you need to be seen. Chapter 4. Purpose, the flame that refuses to die. Some fires don't rage. They flicker, quiet, warm, steady, and yet, they are the ones that never go out. When we are young, purpose is loud. It comes with titles, deadlines, expectations. We are parents, employees, caretakers, dreamers. Every morning brings tasks. Every night, fatigue that feels like proof of usefulness. But then, life shifts, retirement, grown children, an empty home, a calendar with too many blank squares. The applause fades, the phone stops ringing as much, and one morning, you wake up and wonder, what am I needed for now? This is a question no one prepares us to face. We speak often of aging with grace, of enjoying rest, of traveling or relaxing. But no one tells us how crushing it feels to no longer be essential. Because purpose isn't just something you have when you're working. It's something the soul craves. No matter your age, it is not productivity, it is significance. And when you lose that sense of significance, the days begin to blur. You are not dying, but you are no longer fully alive either. But here's the truth that too many forget. Purpose doesn't leave you. You leave it when you stop looking. George's story, the engineer who rebuilt himself. George had been an engineer for over 40 years. The kind of man who found beauty in precision, who could solve problems others couldn't see. At work, he was respected. At home, he was dependable. After retirement, everyone said the same thing. You've earned the right to rest. And he did, for a while. It felt good to sleep in, to drink coffee slowly, to read the paper cover to cover without rushing. But after 6 months, something shifted. Days stretched long, nights felt hollow. The projects were gone, the meetings were over. No one needed him to fix anything anymore. One morning, George found himself staring at his hands. Calloused, skilled, still steady. They still know how to build, he thought, but what's left for them to build? That afternoon, he passed a school where children were building cardboard towers in a makeshift STEM program. One tower collapsed, and the girl beside it started crying. George walked in without thinking and knelt beside her. "Let me show you a trick with the base," he said. She wiped her tears, listened, followed. The tower stood. The teacher noticed. So did the kids. By the following week, George was back with tools, diagrams, and a smile that hadn't appeared in months. He became Mr. George, the quiet man who made learning feel like magic. He wasn't paid. He didn't want to be. "They think I'm teaching them," he'd say, "but really, they saved me." Why purpose matters more than ever after 60. Studies show that having a clear sense of purpose reduces risk of heart disease, stroke, and cognitive decline. Purpose is directly linked to longer lifespan and greater life satisfaction, even more than wealth or social status. Having a reason to wake up, even something small, can dramatically improve mental health, memory, and emotional resilience. Purpose doesn't have to be a career. It doesn't have to be grand. It can be caring for a neighbor's garden, teaching a craft, writing letters, recording memories. Purpose is not the size of your contribution. It's the sincerity of your engagement with the world. Takeaway reflection. The fire within. Purpose is not a title you retire from. It is not a task you finish, or a job you step away from. It is the gentle whisper that reminds you, you still matter. When the world stops asking for your time, you must begin offering it with intention. Not because you owe anyone anything, but because your soul still wants to participate in the miracle of being alive. There is no expiration date on meaning. The child you mentor, the neighbor you help, the meal you cook with love, all these are acts of purpose. Even the quiet ones, especially the quiet ones, because the truth is, many people don't die when their hearts stop beating. They die slowly, invisibly, when their sense of worth is no longer reflected back to them. But you, yes, you have more to give, not in the way you once did, but in ways that only someone with your wisdom, your perspective, your stillness can. You do not have to be useful to be valuable. But when you find a way to offer your time, your attention, your spirit to something outside of yourself, you become lit from within. The flicker returns, the light grows, and even if no one applauds it, even if it's never posted or praised, your spirit will know, I am still needed. I am still becoming. I am still, deeply and fully, alive. Chapter 5. Emotional Resilience, the warrior beneath the wrinkles. Time weathers the skin, but it also tempers the soul. What looks like softness is often steel in disguise. There is a kind of strength that no one sees. It doesn't show up in muscles, or speed, or the way you lift heavy things. It shows up in the moments when life bends you, but you don't break. It shows up when grief visits, and you pour tea anyway. When disappointment knocks, and you still smile at the grocery clerk. When the people you counted on begin to forget your birthdays, your stories, your presents, and yet, you still open the curtains every morning. After 60, the world tests you differently. It doesn't hurl the chaos of youth. It whispers losses. It removes pieces slowly, friends, roles, dreams, and waits to see what you'll do. This is where emotional resilience becomes your greatest ally. Not because life gets easier, but because you become more capable of standing in the storm without losing yourself in it. Helen's story, a heart that refused to disappear. Helen was married for 42 years. Her husband, Peter, was her best friend and companion through decades of both hardship and joy. They shared Sunday crossword puzzles, long walks by the river, and a quiet way of loving each other that never needed loud declarations. When Peter passed away suddenly in his sleep, Helen's world didn't just grow quieter, it collapsed. The silence in the house was deafening. The coffee pot felt unnecessary. Even the light through the windows felt colder. Her children visited, yes, but they were grieving too. In their own distracted, busy way, they called often at first, then less, and eventually, Helen realized she was alone with a sorrow that no one else could carry for her. There were days she didn't change out of her robe, days she forgot to eat, nights she woke up calling his name. And then, one morning, sitting by the window with a cup of untouched tea, Helen whispered to the stillness, I don't want to die, but I don't know how to live without him. That was the beginning, not of healing, but of decision. She started writing letters to Peter every evening, not out of delusion, but out of devotion. She joined a widow's support group at her church. The first meeting, she said nothing. The second, she wept. By the third, she spoke. She began planting tulips in the garden they once shared, one for every year they had together. Each act small, each step slow, but they were hers. I didn't get over him. She would later say, I built a life around the hole he left, and I filled it with things that let me breathe again. Emotional resilience is not a trait, it's a practice. Resilience isn't about avoiding pain. It's about learning to hold it without letting it define you. It doesn't mean you're always happy. It means you don't give your sadness permission to shrink your life. Studies show that emotionally resilient seniors experience better cognitive function, stronger immune systems, and longer lifespans, even in the face of chronic illness or grief. This strength is often invisible, but it's what allows you to survive heartbreaks, health scares, abandonment, and still find joy in a bird's song, a warm hand, a well-told joke, takeaway reflection, the quiet strength that holds you. There is a kind of strength that doesn't make noise. It doesn't look impressive from the outside. It won't win awards or headlines, but it is the kind of strength that keeps you alive when the world feels empty. It's the strength to wake up after loss, to make tea in an empty kitchen, to go on a walk alone without expecting someone to meet you at the other end. Emotional resilience is not a denial of pain. It is a gentle agreement with reality. This hurts, but I will stay. It is not about smiling through grief or pretending everything is fine. It is about allowing yourself to feel fully, without letting those feelings drown you. It's in the way you learn to sit with your memories, not as wounds, but as evidence of love. It's in the way you begin to live again, not because you moved on, but because you moved forward, because you chose to bring your sadness with you, but refused to let it hold the pen. And so, you write new chapters, you tend to your spirit. You find small things to look forward to, a book, a garden, a face. You become your own anchor, your own sanctuary, and in that quiet resilience, you discover something no storm can steal from you, your capacity to feel, to love, and to continue becoming. You are not broken, you are being remade. Chapter 6. Adaptability, the secret superpower of the wise. The oak that resists the storm often breaks, but the reed that bends survives and rises again with the dawn. Aging isn't the loss of strength, it's the challenge of relearning how to use it. There comes a point in life, not marked by birthday candles or retirement certificates, but by something far quieter. The moment you realize that the rules of life you once lived by no longer apply. That the way you've always done things no longer works. That the people, places, and patterns that gave you comfort are now gone, changed, or out of reach. And you're left with a choice. You can resist, you can cling, you can grow bitter at a world that no longer bends around your preferences. Or you can adapt. Adaptability is not about giving up. It's about opening up. It is not the surrender of identity. It is the evolution of spirit. And those who adapt, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, are the ones who continue to live fully, long after others have begun to simply survive. Frank's story, from disconnection to discovery. Frank had always been a man of habit. He played chess with his friend Charlie every Tuesday at the local cafe. He attended Mass in person every Sunday, wearing his pressed beige jacket and polished shoes. He paid bills at the post office, picked up groceries in cash, and never once touched a smartphone. It wasn't stubbornness, it was rhythm, routine, comfort. Then Charlie passed away. The cafe shut down. The pandemic closed his church for nearly a year. And one day, Frank realized, the world has moved on, and I don't know how to follow it. His daughter offered to teach him how to use Zoom. He resisted. He didn't want to become one of those people glued to a screen. But loneliness has a voice, and eventually, it spoke louder than his pride. One rainy Tuesday, he sat at the kitchen table and said, "Okay, teach me." It took patience, repetition, mistakes, swearing. But within a month, Frank was playing online chess with a stranger from Toronto. Within 2 months, he was attending virtual mass with his cousin in another state. By month 3, he was in a virtual history group, laughing with people he'd never met in person, but who made him feel known. "I didn't lose my world," Frank said. "I just had to learn how to access it differently." Adaptability is the real fountain of youth. Research from Yale shows that seniors with a positive view of change and aging live up to 7.5 years longer. Adaptability reduces stress, boosts creativity, and improves problem-solving skills, even in older brains. Learning new things, even technology, can regenerate neural pathways and improve mood and memory. Adaptability is not a trait of the young. It is the superpower of those who choose to remain mentally and emotionally open. Regardless of age, the world will continue to change. That's not up to you. But how you meet that change, that's where your strength truly lies. Takeaway reflection, the courage to keep becoming. The people who thrive after 60 are not the ones with the most money, the perfect health, or the most supportive family. They are the ones who say, when the world shifts beneath them, "Okay, let's try again." Adaptability is not about technology. It's not about learning to text, or use a tablet, or video call your grandkids. It's about your willingness to stay curious, to keep reaching, to say, "I don't know how to do this yet, but I'm willing to learn." That kind of courage, the courage to remain open, is rarer than we admit. Many people build walls around the way things used to be, hoping that if they just hold on tight enough, the past might return. But life doesn't rewind, it reinvents. And when you allow yourself to move with it, rather than against it, you rediscover a truth that children know well. Every day can be an adventure. If you let it, you do not become less capable with age. You become more refined, more selective, but you must not become rigid. A tree that no longer sways cannot survive the wind. A heart that no longer stretches cannot feel wonder. So ask questions, Try new things. Let yourself be bad at something again. Make peace with not knowing. Laugh at your mistakes. And above all, refuse to believe the lie that you are too old to change. Because the truth is, every time you choose to adapt, you reclaim the most powerful part of being alive, the right to keep becoming. If you're still here, still listening to these final moments, then I know you're probably searching for something. Maybe a gentle reminder, maybe a spark of clarity, or maybe, simply, the comfort of knowing someone out there understands. Together, we've walked through 6 pillars that quietly hold us up after 60, things few people talk about, but that deeply matter: a stable financial base, a body that still lets you stroll through the world, a circle of friends to talk to, a small goal to wake up for each day, a heart strong enough to hold both joy and sorrow, and a spirit soft enough to keep growing when life changes around us. Maybe you don't have all 6 yet. That's okay. Start with just one and move forward from there. If today you realized you need to care more for your health, begin with a 10-minute walk. If you've been feeling lonely, reach out to an old friend. If you've ever wondered whether your role in life is over, try writing down one thing you still want to do. And if this video brought you even a little inspiration, then I warmly invite you to click the like button so I know you're walking this path too. Subscribe to the Daily Elder Advice channel so we can meet again next time with new stories, deeper reflections, and gentle encouragement. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Which pillar are you ready to rebuild in your own life? And if someone came to mind while watching, an old friend, a parent, someone quietly navigating this stage of life, please share this video with them. Sometimes, a few simple words are all someone needs to feel a little less alone. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your quiet presence. Every view, every comment, every small sign you leave behind means more to me than you know. I hope to see you again soon, either in the next video or somewhere on this beautiful, quiet journey we're all still learning how to walk.